Hey Facebook family, it's Steve Melia with 30 Days, 30 Ways for the last 18 days or so, today being day number 19. I've went over some strategies and tips on how to really just be happier and have a more effective life. 30 ways, 30 days, 30 tips to help enhance, design, or improve the quality of your life. So thank you for joining me today. If you can see my hashtags, I'm going to be talking about success is a numbers game. Success is a numbers game. I see a few people have joined us already, and you know, in any business or in any project or endeavor, there's certain key numbers that are going to be so important to your success. I've been referencing one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, and I posted if you log off here and check out my Facebook page right before I did this, I posted Jim Rohn, your law of averages. Success is a numbers game, and he talks about law of averages, a 5-minute piece, and it's really brilliant. And it's talking about planting and harvesting and law of averages and ratios on things like that. But the very first thing that I learned from Jim Rohn, because I'm going to be talking all about numbers today, is that whatever your project or whatever your goal is, let's take your number one goal right now. There's usually about a half a dozen things that will make up the importance of that goal. You know, for instance, I'm in a network marketing company, and promoting events is a skill. That's one of my 6 skills that you want to be great at. Selling our product is another skill that you want to get good at. Learning how to recruit somebody is another skill that you want to get good at. Now you've only got 2 or 3 more, so you got to sort of be selective with what else is important. Getting somebody off to a great start, learning to be a great presenter are all, probably 5 of the 6 things that, and your 6 might be different than my 6. And hey, what's up, buddy? I see my buddy Brad Hall. I see Janine. I see Karen Moore. Karen, nice to see you. I see Sam. Ben Bradshaw, how are you, brother? Lewis, good to see you. And I see Tom Tafio, hey man. Mary Beth is on. Wayne from Long Island. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've been just taking 1 tip a day, been going about 10 or 15 minutes on Facebook Live and just sharing some ideas that I think are important ideas to have a higher quality life. So thank you for joining. Hey, if you watched yesterday, we talked about making new friends. We talked about getting out of your comfort zone, and life is a contact sport. And literally within an hour after that, I found myself in a hot tub with about 5 or 6 other people. And 3 of them, or I guess 2 of them, were the morning hosts for WPLJ out of New York City. And it was great. We shared a lot of great stories, made a couple new friends, exchanged information with them, and really just had a blast. So I ask you, how did you do over the last 24 hours if you're taking these assignments seriously? Did you go out there and meet anybody new? And remember, if you have the same best friends you had from 6 months ago, or even 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, it's good to have that core group of people that you're tight with forever. But I'm going to tell you, if you want to have new business, you got to have new friends. If you want to have new customers, you got to have new friends. If you want to have new big clients, you have to have new friends. And so a few numbers that I think are important that I'm going to share with you. The first one, let's see what my buddy Ben Bradshaw says. I miss you, brother. You're one of the best. Well, Ben, I certainly feel the same way about you. If you read my book, 162, Ben Bradshaw and his wife, Lauren, were, in my opinion, big parts of that book. They opened up their home to me without ever meeting me or without ever knowing me. And when I went to all the Baltimore Orioles games that season, I stayed with them. In fact, when I still go to the Baltimore Orioles games, I stay with them. Just great people, so thanks. Let's see who else, if anybody has anything to say. We just reminded me of Romper Room. See Sally, I see Timmy. Yeah, this is a little bit like Romper Room, Karen. You're aging yourself. A lot of the millennials don't know what Romper Room is. Hey Sam, nice to see you. Hey Sarah, nice to see you. Lane, thank you for being on as well. So the first thing is, like, whenever any project you are about to encounter, say, what are the 5 or 6 things that I need to consider? Say you're gonna run a big event, or say whatever you're doing, there's 5 or 6 things that I really got to focus on. 5 or 6 things, not a million, not 100, not even 30 or 20 or 10, but there's usually just about a half a dozen things that you need to consider. So that's point number 1. The second numbers game that I want to talk about is what it takes to become a master at something. I've been in the same career field for 24 years now, and I don't necessarily know. I guess I've mastered it. I know all the ins and outs of it. I try to be humble, but I've been around for a long time, and I know how to do what I do. I know what it takes to, from the point to build a successful business within my company, and really within the direct sales and network marketing company. I think the skills are very transferable. With that being said, there's a book called, I believe it was Outliers. The book Outliers where each chapter, it talked about sort of a rare ingredient of what a successful person had. It just didn't talk about all the normal things like burning desire, but it talked about all sorts of things. And one of the things it talked about in this book, Outliers, is it takes about 10,000 hours to master something. And I'm talking about being the best of your field. I'm talking about being the Michael Jordan of your industry. And there's many people on that have mastered it. You know, maybe you're in medicine. You know, if you look at how much time and energy you got to spend studying medicine, all the years in school before you ever, thank goodness, get into an operating room, it's important that it takes that long of a time. You know, you look at professional athletes, by the time they get on that first tennis court or that, you know, and stuff like that, they've spent 10,000 hours there. And in the book, it studies people like Bill Gates, and it studies the Beatles, and it talks about most of these people, they love what they do, and they just get lost in the time. So these people love what they do. And so, again, if you're working 40, 50 hours a week, how many weeks do you have to put in to get to 10,000 hours? It takes a while. You know, I know my brother and I, we're business partners, and in our business, we say it takes about 3 to 5 years to really start to get some traction in a business. 3 to 5 years to develop the contacts, the skills, the experience to be able to attract the right people to you. 3 to 5 years. And there were 2 of us. So there are 2 of us that out of all of our experience put together. And they were right. You know, if you look at our income, you know, first couple years made about 5,000, second year made about 10,000, third year about 20,000, really was doubling, fourth year about 40,000, and then my 5th year in this industry made over $250,000. And I don't say that to attract anybody to my business or to brag, but just to really give you a point that it takes time, it takes compounded time for you to get what you want out of your life. So we talked about, it takes about 5 to 6 things they have to focus on to be successful. We talked about the 10,000 hours. And then if we're going to talk about numbers, you got to look at the 80-20 rule. That's probably one of the most important. So if you like the 80-20 rule, if you know what I'm talking about with the 80-20 rule, give me a like, give me a love. If you want to share this with somebody, now would be a great time as well. The 80-20 rule can go a lot of different ways, but one of the main ways is that 20% of your people are going to do 80% of the work. They're going to get 80% of the results, right? And now in business, what I've learned in managing and running a team is that my best use of my time is to take 80% of my time, most of my time, and find my top people, my leaders, and give 80% of what I have to those people. Now, the 80%, not the top 20%, but the 80% want my time, but the top 20% deserve my time. So who do I go? I go to those that deserve it. I still give the 80%ers time, right? But I only give them a little bit of time. I give them about 20% of my time. In fact, I do things like conference calls and meetings, and they get group time, but my top 20% gets 80% of my efforts, and that's an individual time. So that's a really important thing to be able to note. So got a few more people have joined us. Donna's on. Hey, Kevin, good to see you again, buddy. Amen to you as well, Ben. Keith is on. Aaron Gonzalez. Hey, Aaron, long time. Great. So, talking about the 80-20 rule, right? Just a really an important one. And, you know, you can't just fire the other 80% because then it'll sort of, you know, you'll always have, whatever group you're in, you'll always have that 20% of the 100% that are doing the most amount of work, right? And I said to my brother when we first started working in business together, we got to separate ourselves like 3 times. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, it's not like the top 20% are making $1 million, right? Like in our field, in a lot of fields, real estate, professional athletes, a lot, you got people that are making big money, but it's only a very small percentage. Comedians, you know, I've been doing stand-up comedy for a while, and I am not in the fraction that's making a lot of money. I might be funny, but I have not paid my dues with that 10,000 hours yet, right? So if you could separate yourself 3 times, let's take a look at what that means. So you got your 80-20, right? Well, you've separated yourself. Now you're in the top 20%. But, you know, like in my industry of network marketing, that's not really doing a lot. That's showing up and going through the motions a little bit. It's not that hard to outdo the competition. So then you do it again. Now you got your 4%, right? Of the top 20%, you got your 4% and the 16% of everybody else. Okay, so you separate yourself twice. Now, probably your chances are you're making a full-time living now, maybe making a 6-figure income. But if you want to separate yourself one more time, there's certain things that you have to figure out what they are, right? What are the key strategies or concepts that it's going to take to go from the top 4% to even out position yourself and go, you know, to 0.8%, if you will. And if you can be that top 1%, then I promise you that group of people is going to make about 99% of the money. So we talked about the 10,000 hours. We're talking about 80-20, ratios. Ratios will appear. Jim Rohn talks about this in this piece I posted on Facebook. But when you do an activity long enough, ratios will appear. In baseball, what do they call it? They call it a batting average, right? Let's say somebody's in sales and they figure out that at the very beginning they're not very good, they don't know what they're doing, they don't have very much knowledge of the product, they're not very confident, whatever it is. It might take them 15, 20, 25, 30, who knows? They might have to talk to 40 or 50 people just to get their first customer. But all of a sudden, what happens? They get a little bit better. They get a little bit stronger. They get a little bit more confident. And now maybe their ratio is down to 12, right? And then they even get better and they get more experience and they get stronger and they go down. And then maybe their ratio goes down to 1 in 4, 1 in 5, or 1 in 6. But from everything that I've seen, a lot of people don't even give it that amount of time. They try something, they're either good at it or not good at it. They try something, they're either good at it or not good at it. And guess what? Most of us are not good at something when we first try it, first start at it. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the numbers. Okay, so we talked about ratios and stuff like that. But let's also talk about in your business and just in your life of what you're doing. Let's talk about taking inventory. I call it you have to inspect what you expect. Take an inventory. When I first got out of college, I sold perfume door to door, right? Some of you might remember me from back then. I don't know that I keep in touch with too many people that I work with from the perfume. Hey, Dave, nice to see you. Malcolm, Drew, what's up, buddy? Drew, looks like your career is rock and rolling. Been following you on Facebook a little bit. Cobby, nice to see you. I sold perfume door to door, right? And every Monday we'd have to order new perfume, and the company didn't send us new perfume until we paid for the old perfume. And so we had to do an exact inventory count. I had to have everybody bring all their perfume. I had about 30 people working for me. This guy's got 11, and this guy's got 14, and this guy's got 6, and this guy's got 8. And we go through the whole inventory of the back room, and we'd be like, okay, this week we sold 340, and we've got 140 in inventory, so we need to order a new 340. And until I had my book straight, would they send me more merchandise? And a lot of us don't run our businesses like that. We don't run our lives like that. And I'm telling you, you owe it to yourself to know what your numbers are, okay? And then find what we call leading indicators. What are the numbers in your business that are going to help you know whether you're on track or off track? And you got to know those, and in my business, it's like, how many people do you have on your sales team maybe attending a convention? Or how many people do you have last month that made a sale or recruited somebody? Or how many people do you have that are part of your leadership group? And you got to know those numbers, okay? And usually, with the internet and with software programs today, it's not that hard to be able to have a good software program to be able to keep track of that. But you definitely want to keep track of that. You want to know what your numbers are. If you're in business, you have to what? You have to treat it like a business. Malcolm, good to see you. Bobby, thanks for joining us as well. Guys, if you have any questions for me, I'm not going to go too much longer today. Just give you guys a quick tour of the beach. I just wanted to focus today, again, 30 ways, 30 days. Wanted to come up with a topic. When you come up with 30 things, what are 30 things that if you want to be really successful doing something, what are the 30 things that you have to get good at? And knowing your numbers is certainly one of them. So if anybody has any questions or any comments or anything that they'd like to say from past programs, feel free to do so. I'll take everybody for a quick tour here. I am in a place called the Diplomat Beach Resort in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're supposed to be here for a Grateful Dead show tonight, as many of you know. But the Grateful Dead show was canceled because John Mayer had an emergency appendectomy a few days ago. But this is the beautiful Atlantic Ocean here. And if you've never been to this resort, it is an amazing resort. Met some great friends, as I said yesterday, in the hot tub from WPLJ. We're probably going to hang out with them again tonight. And that is the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Great stuff. If anybody would like to share this post, you certainly can. And if you haven't watched the previous 18 episodes that I've done, I recommend that you go back and start from wherever you want. If you see a title that intrigues you, great. But I really try to do these as much as I can in order of importance, or in order strategically, where you build on one thing to the next. The first day we talked about developing success habits, which is such an important thing to do. And something that I'd like everybody, if you haven't already done, to stay focused on, is to get yourself a notebook and every single day write down the 10 or 15 things that you want to have happen in your life. This might seem like a lot of work, but guess what it is? It's also a lot of work to be 65 or 70 years old and be broke and poor. That's a lot of work too. So I'm trying to set everybody up in advance to have the kind of life that you want. a numbers game, the numbers game. Well, the Yankees, New York Yankees, have won 27 championships. That's a good number to know, right? And if you ask any Yankee fan that knows anything about the Yankees, they're going to know that number because they know their numbers. Aaron Judge hit 54 home runs last year, right, Ben Bradshaw? That's, hey, Ben, it looks like the Yankees might pick up Machado for their third baseman. I'm not sure if you're still watching or not. And I do want to apologize. I gave the tip yesterday at the end of the program that the Saints were going to beat the Falcons. I was wrong, unfortunately, because of that last-minute interception. I was shocked as anybody, so if you lost any money, find me. Next time we see each other, I'll buy you a soft drink or a beer, whatever your preference is. Getting a notebook. Kevin Martin says he's getting a notebook so he never has to say welcome to Walmart. You know, that's sort of a funny story. Kevin, when I was in my mid-20s, my mother actually came home from Sam's Club. I was visiting my mom, and she was watching me sort of just be real lazy, and I was reading novels every day. And she brought me a job application to Sam's Club and told me that I would make a great greeter, as they just opened up a Sam's Club in her area. And it was enough to shock me into really working my tail off for the next few years to be able to build something substantial with my business. So, Keith, they should have, I know they should have won that game. And again, if you lost any money on that game, I do apologize. Hey, Regina, nice to see you. Mike Humes, my man, Mike Humes. Mike, I saw you were just out of the country doing work on your charity. Got a lot of respect for you. In fact, a lot of the work, most of the work that we do in Work, Play, Love is a result of Mike Humes and his friend Darnell Self, who run a charity called Fertile Ground. And when we first heard what they were doing, not just in their own backyard, which they do work there, but all over the world, you're a big inspiration to us. So, Mike, know that your generous spirit is not unnoticed, and the ripple effect occurs when you do something great and other people get ideas and they start to do something great as well. And so, what's up, my man? Oh, still in Haiti, boy. I appreciate that. Dave, good to see you. I'm so happy that you were wrong about the Saints. Well, I wasn't necessarily wrong. The guy threw an interception at the end of the game, but I'll let you think whatever you want. Nick, it's good to see you. I can't wait to see you real soon, bro. And guys, I am going to wrap up this Facebook Live. This is the 18th or the 19th one that I've done. I'm doing a series of 30 called 30 Ways, 30 Days You Can Have a Better, More Exciting, Enhanced Life. But you gotta get serious about it. As much fun as I like to have, and you can see I've been all over the country just since we started doing these. I was in Vegas and DC and New Orleans, and we're down in Fort Lauderdale now. The reality is, for a certain amount of time, is it 3 years, is it 5 years, is it 10 years, is it 15 years, you got to pay your dues, right? You got to pay your dues, you got to work your butt off, and you got to want it. You got to visualize it, you got to hang out with positive people. There's so many different things. There's about 30, and I'm going to give you 11 more. So stay tuned tomorrow, guys. Mike, travel safe, buddy. Miss you. And everybody else that joined today. Hope everybody's great. And I think I would make a good greeter, Regina. Thank you. I'm very friendly. I would say hello to every single person as they came aboard, but I got a very expensive lifestyle, and I don't think they would give me enough time off over at Sam's for me to be able to fulfill the kind of things that I want to do. So I know I got a lot of people. I got Yankee fans. I got Grateful Dead fans. I got people I know from Legal Shield. I got people I've met along the way. And thank you for spending some time with me and really entrusting in me that my ideas might help you in one way or the other. So either way, thanks for spending some time with me on this beautiful Friday. God bless everybody. Have a great day, and bye-bye for now.